It's been 3 years since the 2019 draft, so like I'm doing every year, let's revisit this draft. What is up, Finn fans? I started this tradition last year. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but I started a tradition on the channel now that you can really tell what kind of rookies you got or what kind of draft picks you got 3 years into their career, right? A lot of people wanted to say Tua was a bust after 9 games. Dumbest thing I ever heard. Some people wanted to say Christian Wilkins, who we're going to talk about, was a bust his rookie year. Dumbest thing I ever heard. Some people wanted to say Jalen Phillips was a bust 5 games into his career, let alone setting the Miami Dolphins rookie sack record. Dumbest thing I've ever heard. So you normally give a rookie 3 years to see what kind of player you drafted. So, like I said, every year I'm going to be going back 3 years. Being that this is the 2022 draft, we'll be looking at the 2019 draft. I'm going to go look at the draft picks, look at some potential trades we made, and I'm going to give a grade. I'm going to tell you if it was a successful draft or if it was a poo-poo, whatever you want to say, type of draft. But before we jump into that, I have to shout out a new patron and a new member. On the member side, Hunbaba Woods. I hope I said your name correctly. And on the Patreon side, Tyler Arcia. I hope I said your name right. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you want to become a member, it is the join button next to the subscribe button. And if you want to become a patron, it is linked in the description. Again, episode 1 of essentially me showing you how I do everything here is on the Patreon. It's up over there if you want to go check that out. Episode 2 coming real soon. I think we're going to start talking about camera placement and all that good type of stuff. So go check that stuff out. So looking at the 2019 draft, this is the first draft that Adam Gase wasn't with us. Mike Tannenbaum wasn't with us. First draft, the Brian Flores, first year. This is where a lot of things happened in this draft. Dolphins traded Laramie Tunsil away this year. It was a lot of stuff. They traded Laramie Tunsil at the end of the year, so they didn't have the draft picks now. They traded Kenny Stills in that trade. I think Kiko Alonso got traded for Vince Beagle. A lot of trades happened, but they happened in August. So we were kind of just with the draft picks we wanted. Also, this is the first year that Chris Grier got control of being the GM. This is the first year that it was Chris Grier's game, from what we know. Because when he was with Mike Tannenbaum and when he was with Adam Gase, it was a trifecta type thing. Adam Gase had control of 53-man roster. Mike Tannenbaum had essentially control of the contracts. And then there was Chris Grier. It was like, well, what am I doing now? So let's look at this, right? We started drafting 13th overall. 2018 it was just one of those years. Again, there was hope. It was a mediocre year. You drafted 13th. It's a mediocre year. And that's why Ryan Tannehill got traded away. It was that time. All right, we need to do something new. Adam Gase got fired. So again, Chris Grier is surviving 3 regimes as the GM. This is going to be his last one if it fails. So picking 13th overall, the Miami Dolphins took Christian Wilkins. Now, I remember that year because Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace. If you guys don't know the tragic, I think it happened a week or 2 ago, of Dwayne Haskins. Horrible news, rest in peace. But a lot of people wanted the Dolphins to take Dwayne Haskins. They wanted a quarterback just to take a quarterback. I wasn't high on Dwayne Haskins, but the Dolphins take Christian Wilkins 13th overall. And like I said in my little spiel at the beginning of the video, he didn't have a great rookie year, but he's starting to come into his all, especially when it comes to run stopping. His career stats: he has 8 sacks, 192 tackles, 17 tackles for a loss, 20 quarterback hits. He has an interception, and he has a forced fumble. He's a big tackler. Again, 192 tackles. It is the most out of his defensive tackle draft class, which include first-round picks Quinnen Williams, Ed Oliver, Dexter Lawrence, Jeffrey Simmons, and Jerry Tillery, who went to the Chargers. He has the most tackles out of all of them. He doesn't have the most sacks career-wise. That goes out to Quinnen Williams with 15.5. But he does have the most tackles. Again, he is a tackling machine. 13th overall pick. I like the Christian Wilkins pick at the time. I still kind of like it. If you look at who came after him, right, you have like Brian Burns, really speedy defensive end. I'm just trying to see someone that I'd be like, oh, Dolphins should have took him over him. Noah Fant, I'm good with Kazicki. Andre Dillard, good outside tackle. Josh Jacobs, but again, you're probably not taking a running back that early. Montez Sweat, very good defensive end. Again, looking at the rest of the first round, I like the Christian Wilkins pick there. You look at the people that went ahead of Christian Wilkins, and there's some pretty good guys up there. Kyler Murray, Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams. Oakland Raiders taking Farrell. Just funny there. Devin White. Daniel Jones. Josh Allen to the Jaguars, the defensive end / linebacker, not the quarterback. So I do like the Christian Wilkins pick there. Then we go into the second round. And that's where things get interesting in the second round. Now, initially, the Miami Dolphins were sitting at the 48th overall pick. And there was thoughts and rumors going into the second round that the Dolphins are going to try to trade for Josh Rosen. And I made a video. You can go back and look at it. I didn't want the Dolphins to trade for Josh Rosen. Stick with Fitz. Maybe draft a guy, because I'll talk about who the Dolphins could have got in the second round. But stick there. Take the best player. Stick with Fitz. I wasn't a fan of Josh Rosen, right? So there was the negotiation between the Dolphins and the Cardinals. They took Kyler Murray with the first overall pick. And the Cardinals were dead set on getting rid of Josh Rosen. Dolphins didn't need Josh Rosen. So you know what Chris Greer did? He said, hold on a second. I got to take this phone call. Picks up the phone. It's the Saints. The Saints wanted to move up from 62 to 48, essentially taking Eric McCoy, the center, moving up. They gave the Dolphins so the Dolphins essentially in that trade traded 48 and the 4th round pick that year to the Saints for their 62nd pick, their 202nd pick, which was the 6th round that year, and then their 2nd round the following year in 2020. That's how the Dolphins had 3 firsts and 2 twos. One of those twos was from the Saints. So the Dolphins moved back to 62. And then the Cardinals called, and the Dolphins were like, sure, we'll trade you the 62nd pick, and then I think they traded them the 5th pick the next year. And they took Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen was put in a crappy situation, essentially. We all know he never really got a shot behind a good offensive line. He never really got a shot in general. And the next year they drafted Tua. Tua Fitz. Rosen was the odd man out. Then Rosen was out. Again, I said this when the Dolphins traded for Josh Rosen. I didn't want Josh Rosen. I didn't think Josh Rosen was going to do anything with the Dolphins. Wasn't a fan of taking Josh Rosen. Even after the Dolphins traded for Josh Rosen, I still was like, well, he's a Dolphin now. I'll support him, but I don't like the move at all. The reason I didn't like the move is there were still potential players on the board that I wanted the Dolphins to take. Right, so the Dolphins traded the 62nd pick to the Arizona Cardinals, who ended up taking Andy Isabella, the wide receiver. But if you look at who the Dolphins could have taken staying at pick 48, and again, you have A.J. Brown, the wide receiver that went to the Tennessee Titans, DK Metcalf, who went to the Seattle Seahawks. There was a lot of good players that the Dolphins potentially could have taken instead of trading back and then trading for Josh Rosen. So, again, wasn't a fan of the Josh Rosen trade. Still really wasn't a fan of the Josh Rosen trade. I understand that he never had a fair shot, and I understand that. I think he's with the 49ers now. He was with the Bucks. And then the 49ers grabbed him right before he got a Super Bowl ring with the Bucks. Just wasn't, a fan, really, of Josh Rosen. He showed some flashes during the preseason that I really wasn't a fan. Then in the 3rd round, the Miami Dolphins with the 78th overall pick took left guard Michael Dieter, who is now playing center for the Dolphins. He had 8 snaps last year, got a fluke injury. It seems like the Dolphins are running with him at center this season, so we'll see. I know a lot of, myself included, want J.C. Treader I'm hearing injury concerns for the reason he hasn't signed yet, so we'll see how that happens. No fourth round pick again. They traded that to the New Orleans Saints with the fifth round pick, 151st overall. The Miami Dolphins selected Andrew Van Ginkel, who has, he got injured in 2019. They didn't bring him back from IR. And he had a pretty decent, his career stats are 10.5 sacks, 134 tackles, 34 QB hits. Last year, he did really well, starting to come into his all. It's another situation where he needs to really start to produce as an outside linebacker. He has, again, don't get me wrong, he has. I think he had about 5.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks, and then, divvied up. So, good pick there. And then with the sixth round pick, 202nd overall pick, Dolphins take Isaiah Prince, who lasted on the Dolphins 2019, didn't play in 2020, and then started for the Bengals in the playoffs. And he's a sixth overall pick. Now, he had to start for the Bengals in the playoffs because their offensive line during the season got injured. But he's a sixth overall pick. And then you have the two sevenths that we had. Pick 233 was Chandler Cox, the fullback we took. Essentially was on the Dolphins for 2 years, and then they moved on from him. And then the last pick we had, 234, was Myles Gaskin, who these past 2 years has been pretty decent when he gets the ball in his hands. Last year he played 10 games. He had 584 yards just rushing, 3 touchdowns, 4.1 yards per carry. And then this past year, he played all 17 games. I think he only started about 10 of them. 612 yards, 3 touchdowns. His yards per carry went down to 3.5. So looking at this draft in a whole, right, you have Christian Wilkins' pick, which I think is very solid, especially at 13. Looking at the other picks that went in the first round, I do like this pick. Josh Rosen, I don't like that trade at all. It did give us. I didn't mind if the Dolphins traded back to 62 with the Saints and then took DK Metcalf. Didn't trade for Josh Rosen, then I'm fine. I'm happy with that pick because the Dolphins essentially picked up an extra second next year. I just didn't like the Josh Rosen pick. Michael Dieter, still playing on the team, now he's a starter at center. Andrew Van Ginkel, very solid. Isaiah Prince, not on the team anymore. Chandler Cox, not on the team anymore. Myles Gaskin, still on the team and started for 2 years. You always judge a draft by how many starters you get out of it, and right now the Dolphins got 4 starters out of it. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks to get 4 starters out of it, I think that's a very successful pick. Draft, I give this draft a B+. I don't think it's an A. The Josh Rosen pick doesn't make it an A. The Isaiah Prince pick doesn't make it an A. That's it. You don't do the Josh Rosen pick and you stay at 62 because the trade was good, but you stay at 62 and then you take DK Metcalf, A+. To get Christian Wilkins, DK Metcalf, Michael Dieter, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Myles Gaskin, that's an A+ draft right there. You set at wide receiver for, he's just a monster. But getting Myles Gaskin in the 7th round is what put it up to a B+. And he's a solid running back. He's good when you get the ball in his hands. He's good when you get him out in space. So Christian Wilkins, Van Ginkel, Dieter, and Myles Gaskin, those 4 starters, made this a B+. And I think it's a very solid draft in 2019. Greer's first draft, Brian Flores' first draft. Comment below. What do you think about the 2019 draft? Were you in favor of, be honest, were you in favor of the Josh Rosen trade when it first happened? Again, when it first happened, I was not in favor of it. I could take a step back and see how he was unfairly thrown into this situation, but I wasn't a fan of it. So comment below, what do you think of the 2019 NFL draft going back, looking at it? Like I said, I give it a B+. What do you guys give it? But I got a lot going on. If you guys go over to the community section, I have a poll going on asking if you guys want me to do mock drafts. I'm only going to do 1 video of mock drafts. It's only 4 picks, so I can probably bang out about 3 or 4 mock drafts at different websites. So go over to the community tab and vote there. And I still am breaking down the centers. I have a lot of different videos planned for you guys. So I'll see you in the next one. But like usual, guys, stay classy and fins up.